Hey, welcome back to the channel. If you haven't already done so, please hit the subscribe button. It does help us out. Today on the bench, we've got something fun. I got my hands on one of these. A new DualSense controller for the PS5. And since the PlayStation 5 isn't going to be out until about this time next week, I thought it would be a good idea to rip this thing apart and see what's on the inside. So why don't you stick around and we'll show you how to get it done. Okay, on the bench today, we have a PlayStation 5 controller. These were obviously released before the PlayStation 5, but since I'm probably going to wind up owning one, I figured let's buy one of these things and see what's inside, just so we know how to fix it later. As you can see, I haven't even unboxed the thing, so let's just dive into it. Oh, they packaged them nice. All right, we've got our controller all wrapped up in some foam, and looks pretty good to me. We got some instructions, and that's it. No charge cable, no nothing. Okay, so since we don't really need the warranty card for what we're doing, let's just go ahead and put this all, well, we'll just put that aside for now. We'll put this box aside. All right, so now we've got our basic controller. The feel is very nice. And, you know, we've got this textured grip. There should be a microphone in it. It's very similar to the PS4 controller. Got our D-pad, our two joysticks. I'm assuming it's our capture and our select button. Still have a clicky button and a touchpad. But we have moved to USB-C. So that's a good thing. You know, I wonder if, just for giggles, let's see. Can we get this up? Let's see, cast. Gamepad tester. Wonder if they have this set up yet. Let's see if it knows what it is. So far, it's just a wireless controller, but it's seeing it. There's our axis. It's reading the sticks. It's reading our button inputs here. Okay, that's not as much fun as I'd hope. The D-pad actually shows up as one of the axes. That's interesting. Okay. Just a little tidbit for us to look at. So that's good to know that the gamepad tester is already seeing it. So, from my understanding, yeah, there's no screws at all. And that's not even a sticker anymore. That's printed right on. So there's nothing hiding there. All right, I think this faceplate has to come out. So let's go ahead and get something that we can get under this with. This one may not be firm enough. Let's try something a little bit stiffer. There we go. There we go. Looks like if we get out underneath the foot, then it'll come up. Okay. And then it lifts off. We'll set that aside for now. Okay, and we got a couple screws here. So let's get them out. And there should be screws under this edge. So let's get in there. We might need this one again. That tool's just too soft. Go back to this one. There we go. Right button out. Left button out. And yes, there's a couple more screws right there. And these screws are the same as the other screws. Okay, so let's see. Okay, we've got those screws are out. Looks like there's two clips here. There we go. Just a little stubborn. There's a few clips along the side. There we go. Now we're in it. Okay. There's our bottom. Put our buttons aside. All right, we have a pretty big battery in this one. It's not glued down at all. So let's see, get my old man glasses out. What do we got? This is a 1550 milliamp battery, 365 volts. So it's a single cell lithium 1500 milliamp, which is, yeah, it is bigger than the PS4. I believe the PS4 was only about a 1000 milliamps. So we've got about 500 more milliamps in this battery, about 50% more capacity. So where are we at here? Okay, I see a screw there, and here's our built-in microphone. And well, I think I'm just gonna right back to these glasses and just leave them on. Like I've said in a bunch of my videos, some magnification really does help, especially when you've never been into something before. Let's see if we can get this microphone out. And there's our microphone. It just, there's not even a bail on that ribbon cable. It just lifted right out of the socket. Okay. So we can see our two haptic motors. They're sealed this time, opposed to in most of the other controllers up till now, it was just a motor and a weight on the end. Essentially, it's what's going to be inside of these. It's not as nice as the Joy-Con feedback motors, but I'll be interested to see what these are like. We do have another microphone. Looks like there's two microphones in this thing. There's a top one and a bottom one. Interesting. You can see. And I'm sure this ribbon will come out just the same. There's no bail on any of these. I have to hook under it. These ones do have some little ears we can get under. There we go. You can see that they've got tabs on them. Okay, so it screws for our haptic motors, but I don't know if we really need to take those out. Let's see what the board screw takes out. Same screw, which is nice. Anytime you can take something apart. Okay, our battery tray's out. Anytime you can take something apart and not have to worry about what screw went where, that's always a plus. Okay, and these are our triggers. A couple ribbons for our trigger and our feedback. Now, if you're not aware, these new triggers are actually adaptive. I don't know if it's a change in the stop or a change in the tension, but you can see that we have a pot here and a drive and a motor drive underneath. It's hard to see still. We'll get it apart. And the motor can adjust a servo basically inside. And like I said, I'm not sure if it's a stop or what. So let's see, where are we at with this? Okay. Let's go ahead and take our haptic screw, motor screws out. Let's see where we're at with this. And same screws. Good, 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 good. Any screws visible for this? Not yet. Okay. Okay, why don't we do this? Beep, beep, beep. What are you beeping at me for? You don't like this tip right now, I guess. Okay. You like that one? Sorry about that. No, it doesn't. Oh, I see why. There we go. Okay. Sorry, this is the new Hacko FX951. We're just getting used to it. So, okay, our negatives are up top and our positives are on the bottom. We're gonna go ahead and desolder these from the board. Sorry I'm not talking so much through this video, but since this is all brand new, I'm not 100% sure what I'm looking at yet. So, let's see. Oh, you know what? We've got another ribbon up here. This is obviously going to be for our touchpad. Let's get that out. Okay. And I think our board will release from here. Well, it's not moving yet, so I'm not going to force it. Okay. So our haptic screws are out. The board screws out. I don't know why this won't release. Let's take a closer look. Doesn't seem to be anything else holding this in. There we go. Looks like the board has little isolation bushings on it, and that's all that was holding it in place. Okay, I just obviously don't want to force anything on a brand new controller like this that we don't have a whole lot of knowledge with. But this is interesting. You can see here, the board's on isolation bushings. Okay, and this kind of leads us right to the next point. I'll set that aside for a second. All right, looks like, what do we got on here? Okay, so we've got a Sony custom chip here. We have a power management chip here. We got a little crab. It's a Realtek. It's obviously a sound chip. So they've got you know, some sound all on its own. We got a little plate button here. It's probably a reset button. And we've got a little panel speaker on top. It's a very nice board. Plus, I'm glad to see it's USB-C now. They're much tougher than the standard micro USB. Matter of fact, I've got two PS4 controllers over there in the shop needing the USB-C or USB micro connectors replaced. So these are a lot tougher. They don't care, you know, as far as polarization, you can flip it like a lightning connector on an iPhone. The only downside is, on the PS4 controllers, this is kind of a separate little board on a ribbon cable. And this is part of this. So, if you damage this, I would say 80% of the home users won't be able to change it. We've got lead-free solders, and you know, these connections, I mean, you can see how small they are. I mean, this is work you do under the microscope. The gimbals, these are exactly the same gimbals as a PS4, an Xbox, take off our hats, and the Nintendo Switch Pro controller, which is good and bad, I guess. I mean, they're actually good controllers, I know, are good gimbals. I know people complain that they drift, but you know, these gimbals can only take so much abuse. And I'd say half the time when I get a controller in, matter of fact, there's two right here that need worked on. You know, I generally open them up, and these controllers have some abuse, and but they take a lot. You know, I've got original PS4 controllers that don't drift. I've got my day one Nintendo Switch Pro controller that doesn't drift. I think most of the drifting problems come from people that are kind of abusing them. So anyway, so we'll set that aside for now. And let's see what else we've got. Okay, so a few more screws there. Looks like we have a light pipe. This looks like the first screws. Now mind you, everything here has been Phillips. There hasn't been any security screws or tri-wings or nothing. I know, like in those Xbox controllers I just picked up, they've got security Torx bits. So these screws are totally different. So it's nice if there, there's only a couple that are different. So I'll get this out. And of course, it's going to be stubborn. Now, there's a couple little clips on there. Okay. Let's see if we can get it past them. There we go. So there's that. There's our light pipe. And I do not see anything else holding this in. This should come apart. And it does. There we go. Okay. I think we're down to the nitty-gritty. So now we've got our touchpad. We've got our standard membrane buttons. I mean, I don't think we need to, pull those apart because, I mean, that's the way it's always been. Oh, this is a little different here, though. Go ahead and pull this one up. I don't know if you can see it. Looks like they got some foam in here. I don't know if it's just for noise deadening or what, but it's there. Doesn't seem to do anything with the membrane. The membrane's all above it. There's not one on the D-pad side. Our PlayStaion button is just a membrane switch. This is our other microphone. Okay, so let's set that aside. And now we're down to this. Okay, so this is kind of our standard Sony membrane. You got carbon traces. It's nice because these are very exchangeable when they start to wear out. We can see the haptic motor, or these are the haptic motors. These are the servos sticking up over here. And let's see if we can get these apart. Looks like we've got 2 screws on the membrane side. So let's pull these out. And these are black screws again, so, oops, come here. And those are the same as the rest of the black screws. So, very nice. All right, we're down to the last bit. Okay, our ribbon, it's just a push-in style here. Yep. Got a push-in style ribbon here for the button. There's a little isolation damper on it. We've got a few screws here. Let's go ahead and get into this. Now, with the exception of only a few of the parts, any end user that's good with a screwdriver should be able to fix this. And these are the same screws that have been taken out. So all the black screws in this thing are exactly the same. There's a screw on the back side. Okay. So we're going to need to pull this ribbon cable to get to it. And, when doing a teardown like this, where there's not really a whole lot of information out there, you just kind of go slow and don't force anything. I mean, some things we know how Sony and Microsoft and Nintendo do things with like the clips around the base, and they like to hide things under panels, so you can get a good shot of not hurting anything if you use, a spudger of some sort. I've got a few different types here. I've got this skinny one. It's pretty much worn out. I've got some fatter ones that are pretty stiff. I've got the guitar pick style. I've got these little green ones that are real hard, actually. And these longer ones, which are a little bit softer. You know, sometimes you just got to try some different things to get under, but never force anything. And you'll be safe. I mean, we took this all apart, and, you know, obviously I've never had one of these apart, and there is, you know, zero damage. We didn't break any tabs. We didn't crack any parts. And that's just kind of a going thing for anything, for anybody out there who's working on some equipment they're unfamiliar with. So now we're into the button completely. So this is the lower trigger. And I see the drive. Let's see if we can move this. We can, okay. It actually moves pretty easy. So if this is the whole way down, okay, so this is moving essentially a stop. And this is a brushed motor. I just don't know how developers are going to use this. I mean, this is truly a servo. So you've got a motor here with a worm gear going to a drive gear, you know, and it's moving this gate up and down. When this gate goes down, it's physically stopping that button. So if it was there, you know, it would click there. And since it has a pot on the back, it knows its position. But I don't know if this motor is going to drive against it and make the button harder to push, or if it's going to kick, you know, here. So like if you're starting to pull it in, it can physically kick your finger back out. I don't know. I'm not seeing, I mean, this ribbon cable here can't hold a lot of current. There is two bigger traces. I'm going to assume they're for power, but they still come down to the same physical pin here. So we get the two big traces, the same physical pin there. Oh, well, yeah, actually, so our positive and our negative feed right into, it looks like, I don't know which way they're counting, but you know, if this is pin 1 here, it'd be pin 2 and 3. I mean, you can see the traces going right into it. So we've got positive and negative right there. So there's nothing on this board that's actually an amplifier. So all the control is coming back from here. And I'm wondering if these two smaller, I don't think I'll be able to see any of the traces, but we can get under the microscope if we really wanted to know. But you know what? That's for another day. So there you have it. There's our entire PlayStation 5 modern controller. We've got a slightly bigger battery. We have a shield. We have our hats that are more or less the same as the PS4. We have these force feedback or haptic. Don't really know how they're going to get used yet, but the force feedback lower triggers. There's one on each side. We've changed to USB-C, but it's not serviceable. Well, it's serviceable the same way that these gimbals are going to be serviceable. It has to be physically unsoldered and resoldered. The membrane buttons and touchpad, microphones, all that could be serviced by the end user without too many problems. But, all right, that wraps it up. I'm glad to see that it's up on our the gamepad tester already. But that's it in a nutshell. It's a very nice controller, and unfortunately, I'm not signed up for a pre-order on a PS5. I'm hoping to be one of the idiots that's lucky enough, that thinks they're lucky enough to get in line and actually find one on next Thursday morning, I guess. There you have it. So if you have any comments, please put them down below. Like and subscribe to the channel. It does help us out a lot. And if there's anything you would like to see us do, any kind of repairs. There's a lot that comes through my shop in a week. Everything from vintage to modern, you know, I mean, just on the table now, you know, I've got a classic Game Boy and an Xbox One controller. So, I mean, we work the whole realm. But anyway, like I said, put some comments below, like and subscribe. Thanks for watching.